Hello, everyone. So I think on last week Saturday, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman presented her eighth budget. So we just want to decode the budget today. So to decode the budget, we have today chief economist from SBI AMC. So SBI AMC is the largest AMC in India. So welcome Namrata on Money Five Mantra.
Hello.
So Namrata, a very warm welcome, and we'll not take much time, and we'll straight start with the questions. So Namrata, if you could help us understand, what were the key takeaways, from this budget.
Sure. So we saw Union Budget 2025 being placed on Saturday. The highlights of the budget were that we maintained the fiscal prudence. Central government fiscal deficit is expected to come down from 4.8% of GDP in FY25 to 4.4% in FY26. Another highlight of the budget was a boost that was given to middle class income by taking the nil tax criteria higher and also revising the tax slabs under the new income tax regime, wherein it is expected that the take home salary for people between 10 to 35 lakh of income would improve by some good 4 to 7%. Then, beyond the numbers, the deregulation has been focused on, and government has also placed focus on improving the ease of doing businesses. Then, when we talk about the spending is okayish, and that is only logical because if you see that the revenue buoyancy is peaking out, that means the receipts to GDP is kind of peaking out, the improvement in that, and you want to consolidate, you have to prune down your expenditure growth. But we do see that some of the schemes like Jal Jeevan Mission, rooftop solar, and urban development sees a better growth in expenditure. But capex to revex tilt still remains. So to start with, these are some of the key things that came up to us in the union budget.
Yeah, I think that was a good brief. So Namrata, I think the biggest relief given to the individual taxpayers is obviously changes in the tax slab. How do you see these changes, impacting, the economy over medium to long term?
First of all, I'm happy that over the last few years, they were solely focusing on infrastructure. They have realized that consumption is the weakest link in the India's growth right now, and more so the middle class. Because what happens is that the lower income strata gets a lot of government benefits, whether in the form of crop insurance, income transfer, or MG Narega, food subsidy, so forth. The upper class has a good wealth effect from rising equity market prices and real estate prices, but it's the middle class which has been facing the impact of higher inflation, and also they have seen that their real purchasing power has reduced. And so to that address sense, when you start to they tinker the income tax, that's the most blunt measure and most direct measure by which you can place better household disposable income in the hands of the public. I'm happy that they've not gone for some urban version of MG Narega, which would have been then prone to the efficiency risk of execution. And like I told to you, that it will improve the household income by a good some 4 to 7%. And in last 6 quarters, your corporate wages on an average has been growing by 6 to 8%. So that means that if the in FY26 as well, if wages continue to grow at the same pace, your disposable income for these income bracket could improve by go to mid-teens. And we sense that there are some 1 crore households which could benefit by that. But on the other hand, we also have to keep in mind that these households were already stretched, they were already leveraged in their position. Whether it is used immediately to spur consumption or to pay down the past debt is something that we have to figure out. So, a step in the right direction. And at the margin, I'm more positive on the consumption growth, not only for this, but for multiple other reasons. But clearly, more has to happen to improve the consumption demand.
Sure. So I think moving on the next question, every budget, everyone is more keen to understand what is going to be cheaper and what is going to be expensive. So my next question is, what are the some of the raw materials or some of the key products which would get more cheaper or more expensive with the changes in the custom duties as proposed in this budget.
So let me place some backdrop. Your within your indirect taxes, you have customs, excise, and GST. We all know that GST changes have fallen outside the purview of the union budget. It gets decided by GST Council, where center and state are both combined to take the decision. That's where most of the changes happen on the raw materials and so forth. Excise is only limited to a handful of products, mostly petroleum products. So now then you come to customs. By the means of customs duty changes, government has tried to address some of the inverted duty structure. It has tried to take some shot to boost manufacturing, to help exports, and also to address the investment, the foreign investment in India. So if I can give you some examples, I guess electric vehicles and electronics are being focused on. The manufacturing of lithium ion and many other critical minerals which go into making of mobile phones and EVs will be made cheaper. Then there has been some help also to the textile sector. And then the entire tax slabs that are like there were some 15 to 16 tax slabs for the industrial goods sector that has been rationalized to I think some 7 to 8 tax slabs. And so government via these measures which is something that we keep on seeing in every budget, this time they've tried to focus these aspects to improve manufacturing and to improve investment in India.
Sure. So, do you think that, these, some of these measures which the government has taken, would be enough to boost manufacturing and exports from India?
The competitive intensity in exports and manufacturing, when we compare to the rest of the world, has increased meaningfully. So the world over industrial policy is now the focus, whether you see it in China, Indonesia, or US. Everybody wants to boost their manufacturing to GDP. And India is competing with the likes of China, which has capacities which are 10 to 20x in every sector to that of India, where in US also we all speak about what Trump is doing on the tariff lines to promote India, US manufacturing. So this will be an ongoing exercise. Clearly, one budget is not enough. They are taking the steps in the right direction. They are focusing on PLI. They spoke about there will be ranking for the states also based on their investor friendliness. They want to address the bottlenecks that are there in the power sector by incentivizing states to take the power sector reforms. They came out with this announcement that every ministry which is oriented linked to infrastructure, they have to lay down the roadmap of the projects. They want to make the data available on PM Gati Shakti so that logistics improves. All this also work in a way to improve exports and manufacturing by lowering down the cost. But clearly, the kind of global competition that we are facing, the changing global order, one budget is not enough. More has to happen.
Definitely. So I think moving next, which are, some of the sectors, benefiting with this budget? Which are the key sectors would, which should get impacted post the budget?
Yeah, so consumption is clearly the one, and we did see on Saturday, which was a special trading session for the equity market, that consumption stocks did see were in green. That power sector has been in focus, rooftop solar budget has been increased. Then you have urban development, which is again being focused on. You did hear a mention about Jal Jeevan Mission. Some 80% of the rural houses have already seen access to tap drinking water. To take this to 100%, the Jal Jeevan Mission has been extended till 2028. Housing is also a few of the focus areas. So these are the sectors which we felt at a first glance that had received special mention in the budget, apart from the nuclear energy, the lithium ion space, EV space, and electronic space.
Sure. So, you mentioned at the start that, the, fiscal deficit target, for the next year would be around 4.4, and this year, obviously, we are about to end at around 4.8. So do you see this, helping us over long term, and, what are the, key benefits which FIIs would see, or we would also get from the FIIs, with this type of government?
Okay, so any government always has to balance the growth agenda vis-a-vis the fiscal deficit agenda, because fiscal deficit, inflation, growth, current account, external account dynamics, monetary policy, all of this, the overall debt levels, all of these go to shape up the macro framework or the macro backdrop of any economy. So, when an economy is fiscally prudent, it is perceived well by the global rating agencies and the fixed income investors as well. To give you a case in point, S&P had upgraded its outlook on India last year, and they said that if the government deficit goes to 7%, that is when they would think of upgrading India. So, with this kind of number, our maths tell us that the overall government deficit could reach to 7% or below by FY26. So that would be positive if that brings subsequent rating changes, a positive rating changes, that will be perceived favorably by the FII investors, more so in the debt segment. With the equity segment, any which ways, we have turned more neutral on Indian equity outlook vis-a-vis our outlook of being underweight for good last 1 year. That has got to do with the valuation corrections that we have seen in the large cap space. So when we say we are neutral, we are more so in the in the large cap space, and the kind of euphoria that we saw in sentiments, that has also sobered down. But when FII takes decision between India, or let me say EM versus the developed market, what is happening in the US is also plays a very important role. As the US policy has become more pro-growth, the US equities are getting favored. But I do get a sense that somewhere in the very near future, you could see that the kind of outflows that we are seeing from Indian equity, that should abate and that should stabilize.
Sure. So I think, Namrata, we are moving towards the end of our, session. We have now a last segment, of this questionnaire. We call it Quick Five with Money Five. So, quickly I'll cover the questions, and, I expect the responses to be more candid. So, starting with it, first question, top three positive announcements for this budget.
Middle class income boost, the future roadmap, and then focus on urban development.
Most impacted sector of this budget.
Clearly, consumption.
How do you see budget impacting the inflation in a positive way,
It
or yeah?
it is neutral on inflation.
Okay, so it's good for RBI. On the scale of 1 to 5, how would you rate this budget?
Uh, 5 being the best,
Yeah,
I think more towards 4.
all right. Which segment of the Indian population will be the happiest after this budget?
Clearly middle class.
Great. Thanks, Namrata, for the session today. I think it was very insightful. Hope a lot of our viewers take some insights out of this session. Thanks Namrata once again, and we'll catch up again as we have the monetary policies coming in.
Most welcome. Wish you a good day.
Thanks Namrata.